Relaxing, calming, soothing. That's what many of us expect a massage to feel like. Unfortunately, getting a massage is not risk-free. For some, their quest for stress relief became an inescapable pain when they were sexually assaulted by a person they trusted. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Assaults during massages have made headlines a number of times in recent years, but despite the media attention, some experts we spoke to say the issue is still underreported and more needs to be done to protect people.
Psychologists say that's most likely because sexual assault is one of the most shame-inducing traumas a person can experience, so the victim may feel uncomfortable coming forward. The victim may also be in shock or suffering a form of post-traumatic stress disorder. There can also be a fear of not being believed.
Reporter Kristen Crowley sat down with a survivor and learned a troubling truth in the relaxation business. We do want to warn you, this story contains a description of a sexual assault that might be difficult for some viewers.
I'd been getting regular massages for 5-6 years.
In all those years, Heather never thought twice about getting massages. That's because they weren't just for relaxation. They were necessary for her lymphedema, a condition that leads to swelling.
Matter of fact, the location, I ventured there 3 or 4 times a year.
As a return client, she regularly did walk-ins with different people who gave her massages. When a male worker she didn't recognize took her to a room, she never imagined what would happen next.
He was massaging my leg. He was coming up very high on my thigh, which is unusual. And I thought, maybe there's something, because maybe he's pushing harder with my leg, with my lymphedema. He started massaging my stomach and grabbed my nipples and twisted them. And I sat up and was like, no, eek, no. And he pushed me back down and was like, you're okay. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not. And he covered me up and said, we're done.
Heather says she was in shock. Then came the shame.
So I got home, and then the realization, I have to tell my husband. Then he got home, and I was on the back deck on my 4th drink because I was so ashamed. It was hard because I'm this other man groping me, and I did nothing to stop it.
But she didn't want the man to get away with it, so she filed a police report and called an attorney, Jill Kanatsar, who says Heather is not alone, as cases like hers have ramped up the last decade.
Back in the 90s and early 2000s, I don't think I handled a single one. And so it wasn't until about 2015 that I started to get calls on these types of cases. And that has increased since that time.
The problem spans nationwide. Since 2019, 905 massage therapists were reported for sexual misconduct and disciplined as a result. That's according to the National Practitioner Data Bank. But there's a problem with this data. It doesn't account for unlicensed therapists. Kanatsar, who is based in Kansas City, says she alone has had 4 clients this year. But the databank records for those reported for sexual misconduct in Missouri, only 1. Kanatsar says all but 1 case she's handled related to massage sexual assaults involved people without a license. And that brings us back to Heather's case. The man she accused of assault was unlicensed.
They had no W-2 on him, which means no social security number. They had no first and last name. They only had part of a name.
There was no way of finding out who this was.
No.
The Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards says only 2 states do not require a license for massage therapists, California and Vermont. But if a massage therapist is caught practicing without a license in a state where it is required, Kanatsar says there's not much at risk for them.
It's not a crime to give a massage without a license.
So if I am practicing massages with a licensed business, could I get in trouble for that? And if I don't have a license myself?
You can get that license revoked from the facility.
Because of a settlement agreement, Kanatsar can't name the facility in Heather's case, but she says it was shut down. As for the man accused of the assault,
once that report was made, he got on a bus and he left the area. And
no idea where he went?
No idea where he went. So it would not shock me that He is somewhere in some other metropolitan community, and he is continuing to perpetrate.
I'm more mad at the owner and the business. They put profit over their customers' safety.
And that's why they're both calling for more accountability.
Often when people go in for a massage, you are disrobing, you're under a sheet or a blanket, and so you're very vulnerable.
Michigan Representative Julie Rogers knows just how much damage a trusted professional who abuses their power can inflict. She helped craft legislation in the wake of the Larry Nassar scandal, the Michigan State University sports doctor who sexually abused hundreds of people in his care. Rogers says some of the laws passed to prevent abuse like that in the future included penalties for others who failed to report misconduct. She thinks something similar could work for massage businesses and wants to look at drafting possible legislation. But she warns it would not be a quick fix.
There are legislative fixes, but they're very long-term and may take years.
For the clients you've represented, could there have been anything done that would have protected them, that would have prevented that assault from happening in the first place?
Absolutely. Massage facilities should not hire unlicensed masseuses. There's training, there's background checks, that the facility can do to eliminate the risk.
In your experience, were background checks done on the people that your clients accused of the assaults?
Never. Never.
Today, Heather still gets massages, but only from one person, a woman she knows and trusts. While she can't change what happened to her, she hopes her story can change the outcome for others.
I really think laws need to change. I think accountability needs to be up there with it, and women need to understand that it is not okay that this has happened.
Canancer says increased resources for state licensing boards to make sure there are random checks at massage businesses, similar to what we see with health inspectors, could help solve this issue. But funding to make that happen would likely need lawmaker approval. Now, Heather's case settled out of court, but during the investigation, Canancer says another woman came forward saying she was assaulted at the very same facility. That facility was shut down 9 months after Heather filed her complaint.
There are steps you can take to be your own best advocate before and during a massage.
Make sure you check for a licensed massage therapist. You can also check for a business license with the state licensing board. And if you ever feel uncomfortable, it's okay to speak up and leave. You can report misconduct to the state licensing board or health department, as well as police.